Okay, so I'm in the museum now. They gave me a sheet. I'll take a look at this. So at 3 o'clock, they have a Civil War nurse, Kate Cumming, meet at the split rail fence behind the Corinth Civil War Interactive Center. Examine the role of women caring for the sick and wounded soldiers through the life of Kate Cumming. So here in a few minutes, I'm going to kind of cut off this, and then we'll pick back up in her. She actually was here during the Civil War in Corinth, and is going to be talking to us about how she cared for the wounded soldiers. Wow. So here we go. Here's some of the stuff. This is kind of what they thought about slavery. The Americans thought about slavery. And those white Southerners believed the path to success through ownership of land and slaves. Viewed enslaved people as property and argued property ownership was right guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. Experience of enslaved people varied depending on whether they lived on small farms, large plantations, or in towns, and on the attitudes and whims of their owners. So here's the map of, we have the slave states are in yellow. So Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, and Kentucky. Of course, you had different territories. This is back in the Civil War era, so you didn't have like Nebraska be here and Montana here and all that. This is unorganized territory, Nebraska's territory, Kansas territory. I'm just kind of odd because that's Nebraska right there. New Mexico territory, Arizona would be here, Utah here, Nevada. Nowadays. And then free states, California and Oregon. And speaking of trains, I hear one now. Let's see if we can get a sneak peek. There she is. And so, in response, Union slave, this is where the crisis unfolds and through conflicts. Who were the candidates? Douglas, Bell, and Lincoln. Lincoln, wow, that's a young Lincoln. 4 candidates seeking presidency, and that's where, of course, Republican Party and Liberty of Congress. Of course, Abraham Lincoln was selected from the Republican Party as our 16th president of the United States. Southern states, a new nation. It used to be governed by a president they believe hostile to slavery. By the time of Abraham Lincoln's inauguration in March of 1861, 7 states had seceded from the Union. South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas declared a new government, the Confederate States. On February 8, 1861, they elected Jefferson Davis of Mississippi president the next day. So the Mississippi president, and the war began on April 12th of 1861. Immediately called for 75,000 men to suppress the insurrection, whatever that means. In response, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Arkansas seceded and joined the Confederate States. Lincoln then proclaimed a blockade of southern ports, called for 82,000 more volunteers and regular troops. There was no turning back now. And the bombade, the war began. And Fort Sumter, South Carolina on April 12, 1861. And of course, it was a railroad town. Pre-Corinth. Of course, see, that's a really nice picture. There's a picture almost like that somewhere else. But the express train ran along the railroads through Corinth. So, and the war eventually comes in. Hey.
Our ranger program on the Nurse Kate Cumming is just about to start in a few minutes.
All right. What time is it?
It's gonna start at 3, so it'll actually start just as soon as I finish walking through the rooms and see
Oh.
if there's anybody else. If
Oh.
you'd like to see that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You can just meet me at the front desk.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry, that was just the lady about preparing for the war. We're going to stop this video right now so we can go listen to her speak. And then we'll come right back and I'll talk to him more about history of the Civil War that came to Corinth. Let's go meet the historic nurse.